Who is your pick for the all-time greatest African midfielder?
He's the most naturally talented player that I played with.
See if your choice made the list on Match of the Day Africa Top 10 from the BBC World Service. Find it wherever you get your BBC podcasts.
Welcome to the documentary from the BBC World Service with me, Antonia Bolingbroke-Kent. This is Heart and Soul, where we explore different approaches to faith around the world. Today, I'm in the far northeast corner of India to meet a shaman who provides the spiritual link between his people and the region's extraordinary wildlife. There's a little group of flycatchers. Do you know what type of flycatchers?
Yellow-bellied one.
Yellow-bellied. This is the northeast Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, a remote mountainous area where India, Tibet and Myanmar collide. More tribal groups live here and more languages are spoken than anywhere else in South Asia. It's also home to India's largest remaining tracts of tropical, subtropical and temperate forest. I'm just ducking through tunnels of bamboo, and there are these trailing sort of vines which are thick with the most lethal thorns. Keep catching on us, and you can hear my feet crunching over a carpet of dried bamboo. GB? Oh, you're there. Very easy to lose GB here. He's disappeared behind a thicket of banana palms. He's at the front with a machete, bashing a path through for us. Among the people who call these mountains home are the Idu-Mishmi, one of the last animist tribes in the Himalayan region. Numbering just 12,000 people, the Idu-Mishmi's faith is intimately connected to the forests and animals they live among. But like so many indigenous groups, their way of life is threatened by development and external religions.
Our way of life is so entangled with the forest, with the belief, with the spirit that resides in the mountain. And every activity that you take, if you are hunting, if you are doing field walk, that's all related to the forest only. So when you hunt, basically, you pay obedience to the God who is offering you the meat.
GB Pulu is an Idu-Mishmi elder and conservationist. He's set up a community-owned wildlife reserve in the Mishmi Hills. It's home to a huge variety of colourful birdlife, as well as rare mammals such as spotted linsang, binturong, clouded leopards and Himalayan black bear. The wealth of wildlife here, he says, is directly connected to the Idu-Mishmi's animist faith.
So the modern day conservation rules are about written rules, but in our cultural rules there are conservation rules. That means how hunting can be done, how it can be carried out without harming the other species.
We do not hunt tiger because tigers are our brothers. It is believed that we belong from the same parents. It is Ekomo and Erai. Killing tiger is believed that it is equivalent to the killing of human, killing of your brother.
This is Chacha, an Idu-Mishmi hunter from a small town very near the Indo-Tibetan border.
If my great-grandfather kills the tiger, accidentally, the curse will haunt to my great-grandchildren. So that is why we cannot kill the tigers.
That's a pretty good deterrent for not killing a tiger. And when you get home from hunting, Chacha, what taboos and restrictions do you have to follow in order not to upset the kinu, the spirits?
If I hunt animal like musk deer, I have to maintain the taboos for 5 days. And during that 5 days, I cannot sleep with my wife and I cannot eat garlic, mushrooms, onions, and I cannot go to my neighbor's place. I cannot visit any kind of social gatherings, ceremonies.
All these restrictions must be a deterrent to going hunting very often.
If it was not restrictions on hunting in this way, then lots of people might be doing hunting, and who knows, the animals in the forest might have extinct already.
This delicate balance between humans and nature is being upset by the construction of new roads and vast hydroelectric dams. But development isn't the only issue. Chacha is deeply concerned that the Idu Mishmi's animist faith is being drowned out by other religions.
Christian mangro yang bayo inia inia idu imo achu lana aya enanya akhankawa Christian ma.
If more and more our people getting conversion into the Christianity, then this taboo system will vanish because they doesn't follow what we follow. I am a bit worried that in 10, 20 and 25 years, then we will losing everything, taboo system and then language, everything. I'm really worried for it.
Christianity is advancing in northeast India. New Baptist churches are being built in towns and villages, and neighbouring tribes have already converted. While the Idu Mishmi have mostly stuck to their old ways, inroads are being made. Cool concrete house. And that's Eshape unlocking the door into the shrine room. Oh! One local woman, Eshape, has turned a room in her house into a shrine.
This was the fireplace where the Christ in form of beggar had sat. So they have removed the fireplace and made the shrine out of it.
She was visited by a beggar that she believes was Jesus Christ and subsequently cured of an illness. It's a sort of metal structure lit up with fairy lights, and there's a big cross and posters of Jesus saying, "Jesus, I trust in you." How many people in this community are also Christian? What percentage are Christian?
Ketulimo iduma sama eta na igu mebunga bdaga nena embedu taklib ego ayamande kigana.
So she doesn't know the exact number, but she says that nowadays because of the because egos are not there, so many people they get sick, they get problems, so they get converted to Christianity because of the shortage of egos.
What Eshape is saying is that people here are converting to Christianity because of a lack of igus, the priest-like shamans at the heart of the Idu Mishmi faith. Dr. Rajeko Dele of the Idu Mishmi Culture and Literary Society explains more.
Shamans, they are a messenger between the spiritual world and the human world, and he can get into both the realms and to solve the problems of the people.
So the shamans, known as Igu in the Idu Mishmi language, are priests and healers, and they are essentially mediators between the human world of the seen and the unseen spirit world. So they're very, very important people in the Idu Mishmi culture.
Shamans are also the source of the literature, because most of the stories and all these beliefs, customs and all, they are all founded upon some kind of myth and stories.
The problem is that the Idu Mishmi shamans are dying out, and they're not being replaced by the younger generation. Everyone I met was worried about this shortage of shamans. None more so than Sipa Mello, the most influential Igu.
Igu bacawa ini siwa tapoma ini society me Igu mana ka Igu ndo yo momando bawa remachin do bawa.
Preserving our shamanism is very important. It is our identity from our very birth to our death. When a child is born, it is an Igu shaman who performs a ritual to protect its life, and after that person has died, it is again a shaman who performs a ritual for its well-being in the afterlife. Igu are also protecting nature through restrictions and taboos. So preserving Igu is important for all of our community. We have nothing without Igu.
It's 7 a.m. and Sipa and I are just bumping down the road to Anini, very near the Tibetan border, surrounded by a stadium of snow-armoured peaks. Sipa's at the wheel of his little grey Maruti. ceremonial dowel at his waist, and we just stopped for him to cut some bamboo, I'm guessing for the ceremony. Oh, okay. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine, quite fine.
I'm sorry to hear there was an accident.
Yes, of course. Yesterday.
Was it here?
Yes. He was working top of the roof, and
Yeah?
that fall in the ground, and he's no more. Huh?
The man was just explaining to me that the deceased was an Assamese man. He was a builder. And it's a half-built house, scaffolding, the roof's not on properly, and apparently he was working on the roof and something gave way, he fell through and died. And everyone who was here yesterday when the accident happened,
Yes.
they haven't been able to leave. They've had to stay here.
Yes. Laborers are there.
So all the labourers had to stay here
yes,
and
yes.
wait for the igu to come and cleanse it.
Yes, correct.
Sipa and I are now sitting in the basement of the house, and he's sitting on a stool, and he's started the ceremony by spitting into the air. And then he's starting to sing. Sipa isn't reading from any script. He knows all these chants off by heart. As an igu, he has to memorise thousands and thousands of lines of verse. And this is a man who never went to school for a single day and who can't read and write. And this is only a short ritual, 3 to 4 hours. Some of the rituals Sipa officiates over are 4 days of almost solid chanting, and he memorises the whole lot. That's Sipa rubbing 2 swords together as he walks around the basement, and from his gestures he seems to be telling the spirits to go away, to leave this family in peace.
Anyone who goes to a funeral or is present at a death must be cleansed by aloe thru before they return home, for fear the spirits will do them and their family terrible harm. One of the people stuck on the building site until Sipa finishes this aloe thru ritual is Rosina Mihu, a 37-year-old entrepreneur whose sister owns the house where the accident happened.
No, thank you. Being offered some tea. How important is the igu to your generation?
Without igu, I think our existence, there's no existence of Idu Mishmi actually. Without these, rituals, I think we're incomplete because, we as an Idu Mishmi, we have been following this, since so many generations, okay? This is our base. This is the identity of I being an Idu Mishmi.
So without igu, there's no Idu Mishmi?
No.
But yet, how many people sitting here understand what he's saying, understand the igu language?
No. I mean, I think most of them, we don't understand actually. Because I understand a little bit because my own grandfather was Igu. So I used to follow him. I used to perform few rituals, but I couldn't learn. I wanted to actually, but I couldn't learn. There has to be a power, natural power.
You didn't feel you had the divine calling?
No. That inner power is not there.
That's an issue Sipa wants to talk to me about. Young people haven't been feeling this inner power, and there's been a sharp decline in the numbers of Idu Mishmi shamans. But first, he needs to conduct one more ritual.
It's 15 kilometres between Anini, where the ceremony just took place, and Alinye, Sipa's village. And on the way home, we've stopped at the side of the road, a very narrow road cutting along the side of the mountain with steep walls of jungle on either side. And Sipa is doing a Laru ritual, which is essentially the closing of the spiritual gate. And there is a chicken in a bamboo basket, and I think the chicken is probably going to die. He's built a gateway made out of bamboo. It's about 3 feet wide. He's walking round his car, because the car was also with us at the ceremony, just clearing it of the spirits. The last bit, I believe, is he's going to walk through the gate. And the chicken's blood is really important because it allows Sipa to walk through the gate but prevents any evil spirits from following him. And Sipa's mentioning for me to walk through the gate, so I'm just stepping through it. And because I was at the death ritual with Sipa, I also have to be cleansed. And I also have to follow the same restrictions as Sipa for the next few days. No onion, no garlic, no mushrooms. I can't wash my clothes. And that's it. Sipa's walked through the gate. The Laru stays by the side of the road. And Sipa and I get back in the car and drive home. Thank you. Sipa Mello and I are sitting here in the main room of his house. It's a big room with a bamboo floor. On the walls are hanging some of his traditional Idu Mishmi cane helmets. There's his ceremonial dao hanging on a hook. Sipa is a very young-looking 61-year-old with a fringe and long black hair almost to his waist, which, as we sit down to chat, his wife Windu is combing for him and tying up in the traditional Idu Mishmi knot, which is called the Chulikata knot. Sipa, I'm really interested to know how people become igus. Can you tell me the story of how you knew you were supposed to be an igu?
My mother, as well as my father, had dreams that said I would become a great shaman. My mother, when giving birth, she saw that she was giving birth to some kind of spirit alongside me.
And were any of your ancestors igu?
My great-grandfather was a very great shaman with supernatural powers. He would even pop out his eyeballs.
He used to pop out his eyeballs? That sounds absolutely horrible. But Sipa, also, you fulfil the role of a healer. For example, yesterday morning, we went to that patient's house who had cancer, and you performed a ritual on her. Could you tell me what you were physically doing in that ritual and also the significance of it?
The lady was complaining that she was feeling some kind of throbbing on her shoulder. She has cancer, but she felt that this was something different. So I tried to heal her by sucking out the bad blood. It tastes very different. It tasted bad. So I think she must be feeling well right now.
When we met last week, you were just finishing performing the 4-day Ya death ritual for an old lady who died in Roying. What is your role in it? What's happening?
After the death, the spirit tends to be very selfish and stubborn. So the shaman is needed to appease and pacify it.
Is it possible for an Idu Mishmi to reach the afterlife without the help of a shaman?
No. Only we as a shaman can communicate with the spirit. Ordinary people cannot, because we chant in a shamanic language and we believe that the spirits speak this language.
And is it dangerous performing the Ya ritual because the shaman has to die in order to lead the spirit of the deceased to the afterlife?
I can give you an example. Once I felt some kind of power striking me on the chest. I fell to the ground and I felt as if I had died.
Sipa, during rituals, how do the spirits reveal themselves to you?
Sometimes the spirits look like fireflies, and sometimes they are in shadows. The spirit of the deceased is easy to see. I can see them whilst performing rituals.
And why do you think so few young people are becoming igus these days? Do you think modern life is drowning out the spirits?
The spirit hasn't gone anywhere. The spirit is all around us, in nature, in our everyday life, and within us. But the world has changed a lot. Young people have so much to distract them. Mobile phones, TV, and also the schools distract them from being a shaman. To be a shaman, you need to be in a meditative state. You have to be very dedicated, and you have to be very interested with your heart.
This is the documentary, Heart and Soul, from the BBC World Service. Sipa and other Idu Mishmi elders, like Rajeko Dele, were so worried about the declining number of shamans that they came up with a pioneering solution.
In 2020, the Mishmi Cultural Literary Society launched the Shaman Fellowship Program. That is the program to revive shamanism in a very systematic way. The young students are given scholarship and they are taught and they learn to become shaman.
This isn't a classroom in the traditional sense. This is a small wooden house where the apprentices are taught how to be igus. There are no computers or even any desks. The two young men in front of me are sitting cross-legged on the floor, learning the igu chants. Sipa's too busy with his shaman duties to do all the teaching himself, so his assistant, Oyo, is leading this evening's session. Oyo sits in the middle of the two apprentices. He's wearing the traditional Idu Mishmi cane helmet and a knee-length embroidered waistcoat, while the young men are wearing jeans, Converse and tracksuit tops. Nina, you're the project coordinator of this Shaman Fellowship Programme. How do you feel seeing this progress? Are you proud?
Yes, I'm very proud because when we had started this program, we had no previous experience and we didn't know what will be the result. But now, after 2 years of this rigorous training, I'm very proud to see the results.
And these two igus who are sitting either side of Oyo, do you think they've got potential to become great shamans?
I can't tell this now, but obviously if they dedicate themselves, if they are interested, they can become great shamans.
How old are you, Nina?
I'm 27.
So do you feel that perhaps the success of the programme is encouraging people of your generation to show more interest in the igus?
Yes, this program has helped a lot. You can take the example of this village. There were no tamro at all. But
tamro was the assistant?
Yes, the assistant to a shaman. There were no tamro at all. But when we had started this program, the boys would come, girls would come to practice along the apprentices, and they would practice. And now some of them are great tamro now.
And what about women? So far all the apprentices have been boys. What about having some female igus?
Yes, we've been looking for female igus, female tamros, but so far we couldn't get anyone because females are shy. They are very hesitant, and some are even interested, but they are reluctant to try.
That's such a shame, because being an igu is so much about performance and having the confidence to sit in front of a crowd of people and chant and perform.
You can't be shy, you can't be hesitant.
What about you, Nina? You've got igu ancestry. Couldn't you become an igu?
Yes, I'm ready to do as much as possible for my community to preserve this igu culture, but no, I don't think I'm ready to become a shaman because it's a strict life. I don't think I am patient enough to follow these rules and regulations.
The teacher, Oyo, and the apprentices have now stood up and they're beating the garumbu and the repu, the musical instruments. And as they do it, they're dancing, they're moving rhythmically up and down. Oyo, who's leading them, has the most fantastic voice. It takes a lot of coordination. They're
singing, they're playing instruments and they're dancing at the same time. Not easy. Okay, what do your friends think of you doing this shaman training program?
Most of my friends support me and encourage me a lot to do this. But the elders in the village, some of them are very critical about me because they think the dreams are very important. You have to have premonition dreams that you are going to be a shaman, but I had no such dreams. But as I'm progressing, they also has started to believe that I can do something.
We have seen so many changes in the students, and we ourselves have learned a lot about how to properly teach and train them.
See, but I can see the pride on your face because when you were answering that question, you had a big smile and your eyes lit up, and it's so lovely to see that. And how many shamans have you trained so far?
So far, I've trained 4 students. 2 of them have started to perform rituals. They are declared Igu now. It is a great start.
What the Idu Mishmi are doing here is quite extraordinary. They are the first indigenous people in the world to do such a programme, to actively train young people how to be shamans in an effort to preserve their culture. It's really quite something. And it's working. That's the best thing about it. It's working.
You've been listening to the documentary Heart and Soul from the BBC World Service, produced by Alistair Cross and presented by me, Antonia Bolingbroke-Kent.